everything from whenever I leave my house to head to the event, factor in everything, everybody's travel, everything. Each lap I go out at FD is about $2,000. Each lap I do is $2,000.
Tell me what you've learned doing Formula D. Oh, I guess we could preface this real quick. He did a couple years of Pro-Am.
Yep.
He's been driving for how many years?
I started drifting in 2016.
Oh, so you've been driving for a while, like 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. He kind of started in a crazy car.
Started competing in 2018 in Lone Star with you.
Okay.
So.
In like a supercharged LS car that was nuts.
Yeah.
So he's kind of always had a crazy car. I remember you had an SR car before that, maybe.
Yeah, I had an SR car, RB car, and it's all what's been in this car. RB was the first motor that went in it.
So I think from the perspective of the audience who's watching this right now, you are a person that.
I have a car broke down on track already.
Can you guys sort that out? Is Shannon back? I'm filming.
And with that super smooth segue, let's tell you about our sponsors: Velino Tires, BC Racing Coilovers, Spec Clutch, GK Tech, NK Wheels, ECU Master, NRG, and WhatMonstersDo.com. Thank you so much to all these sponsors. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Back to the video.
I think from the perspective of the audience, what's interesting is you are a grassroots guy that just started Formula D, and you could tell us what you've learned this year. What have you learned?
From Formula D, I've learned that, Formula D is fun. It's awesome. You get to drive with the best of the best. You got a lot of fans. You got a lot of people. You have a lot of eyes on you. You have a lot of opportunities for sponsors. You get, there's a lot of opportunities that arise from it. But if you go there for seat time, which if everybody watches it, there's no seat time in FD. You get, each venue, we get maybe 8 laps of practice per day. And we get 2 days of practice. And one of them's cut in half because we got qualifying that day. So a total of probably, I'd say, 14 laps that we get for practice for these venues, and it's like they're not back to back, they're all cold laps. You got to wait for people to go. There's a lot of people going, so there's not any seat time at all. So if you go there for seat time, it's not what it's about. But I've learned that, no matter what, no matter where you go, it's not going to be fun unless you're there for the fun. And I go there to have fun, and I have a blast no matter where I'm at. But FD it's cool, but it's not like an end game goal. It never has been. But I've learned that you've got to be a perfect driver every single lap out there to do anything good in FD. Like if you. People that are at the top, they don't make mistakes, and you have to be perfect every single time. It's intimidating. The tracks are intimidating. You don't get much seat time, like I said, and you go out there and you drive with people you never drove before. You haven't got to see their line. It's wild, man. It is. It's not fun per se. Like the driving and stuff is not fun. You don't get to have a lot of fun in your car and whatnot. It's sitting there sweating, hot, whatnot, but it is still an experience that anybody that would love to be there and do it. I would never, steer anybody off from doing it. Go experience, do it if you want, but it's just like, it's expensive. There's it's not a lot of seat time, but all in all, the experience and growth and I guess publicity bucks that you gain from it is I would say it's worth it. You gain a lot of sponsors, you get a lot of fans, you get a lot of people that want you to come out to their events and offer you to come drive at their events for free and stuff, just to expose them and it's cool. The whole surrounding aspect of Formula D is awesome. The driving seat time there, it's not fun because you don't get none. Like Lone Star, Collect Stickers, all the other events that we go to, you get seat time, seat time, seat time, seat time, seat time. Then you go into qualifying or go into comp, and you've already had 30 laps on that track, and you're like, all right, I got this down. And half of them you get to go out there and you're chasing people down, you're having fun. FD, I get to do 8 lead laps, and they got to be dialed in. I have my spotter Harrison's on the thing telling me, hey, you go deeper here, or, hey, you go deeper there, and I'm like, all right, let's redo this, redo that. Rudy's adjusting the car, and it's like every lap is different, and I don't ever get any chase laps in practice because we're trying to get the car dialed in for qualifying, and it's just like there's stuff that you have to just like sacrifice, like chase time. you know, you've driven forever. Chasing somebody on a track is a completely different line than leading that lap because you're on the inside of them and you're driving through smoke.
You also can't see. Like you have to do everything off like memory and
exactly.
All that stuff,
So you're used to if you like leading the whole entire time during practice, you go straight into battle and your first chase, you're like, oh, I'm blind, and it's been a learning experience. We need more. If we got more seat time at FD, it'd be great, you know what I mean? But there's so many drivers, there's so many people there, and it's 2 days that you pack everything into. And it's the experience, though, fun. If I would go back and say, you know, if I started all over and said, hey, you know, I want to redo this, would I go back to FD? Probably, yeah, just for the experience. I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world, but it's not the funnest thing to ever go do, you know. It's professional racing. It's stressful.
What would you say, going back to the original, what have you learned? Like, go to the car. What have you learned from Formula D with your car setup? Are you changing the car setup much?
Yeah,
did you rebuild the car for Formula D?
Yep.
Like, so how do you change the car for Formula D?
We didn't have to do too much to change. We just made it a little better because the cars out there are great already, so you got to make something that's going to compete with them. So, I mean, we revamped the car completely. It's all brand new, everything. We put a lot of time and money into it off season. I mean, we changed even to the smallest things where the fuel cell sits to get the. You learn from other people's at FD. So you see where they do it, how they do their cars, and you're like, okay, why you do that? And then you understand it. And I've learned a lot with chassis setup. There's never one lap at FD until we get the car dialed in that I drive that it's the same. Every lap is completely different. I've never been to events where one coilover is, you know, softer and stiffer than the other, or tire pressure and whatnot. I've learned that you can't show up and then just go out there and party. We've changed so much on the car that I couldn't tell you what all we've done to it, but there's...
Do you understand the changes that you're making, or is there someone setting everything up for you?
No, everything that we've done, we did one popular thing, we did the anti-squat on the S chassis. I did a lot of research on that myself, and I told my fabricator what I wanted to do, and he's like, why would we do that? And then he did research, and he's like, okay, that makes sense. So do you know what the anti-squat is on the S chassis?
Are you just making adjustable slots or holes up and down? And
like on the lower control arm, the rear lower control arm, we just drop the bracket down, like 2 inches, drop the bracket down so it straightens out the arm, and it like all the, you know, it adds dynamic toe gain, I guess, as we're going and whatnot, instead of losing what I've learned a lot with chassis and whatnot, but I've learned more on driving with FD, to be honest with you, because I don't get that much seat time, so every lap has to be focused, dialed in. Hey, go out there and, like, every lap is the same for me now. Like, it used to be inconsistent because I would just be all over the place, but I've learned how to calm down, breathe, relax, and just go have fun, go drive. You know what I mean? Every lap is practice for me now. Like nothing, even the comps, they're still practice laps for me.
Going back to the car real quickly, have you, so you said anti-squat is one thing you've adjusted. What other things have you done on the car? You said you moved the fuel cell.
Yeah,
Did it make a huge difference when you moved the fuel cell?
So we had the fuel cell in the very back of the car, behind the radiator, and now we pretty much swapped it. Radiator's behind the fuel cell now, but we didn't do it because of anything other than weight transfer. So my fuel cell is literally in between my tower struts in the rear. It's sitting right on top of the subframe, so all the weight is shoved down on the subframe. We're getting a lot more like chassis grip out of it because the weight itself is pushing down on the subframe, and then we put 2 batteries. We're using 2 batteries in the back as ballast in the rear as kind of weight transfers and whatnot, but we rebuilt the rear end because it was too swingy, you know what I mean? It was too like unpredictable on trend. It was too much weight in the rear. I've got the Corvette. I bought the Corvette for Drift Week. Fell in love with how the Corvette drives and how it's balanced, and I can whip it, and it's like, I don't know, you can just chunk those things, and you never feel like you're going to over rotate. My car used to over rotate all the time because all the momentum from the fuel slosh, I guess, was in the rear. So we've had to cut that back. We moved that up front to get more grip. We've moved the rack up front, moved it forward just like everybody else does. Relocated the rack with a V2 Wisefab kit, just to get rid of what are they, the offset rack spacers?
Offset rack
Get
spacers,
rid of
yeah.
those, and just trying to eliminate any like weak points with the car. I went with the new Wisefab, the V2 rear as well, because of their new like toe arms and whatnot that they came out with, that I guess they're compression arms where they go inside of each other so it doesn't bend your knuckles, and tried to like think about what we could do preventative wise. And I've learned that you got to be prepared. You have to be prepared for the worst, hope for the best at FD. You don't want to go out and wreck, but you can go in my trailer. I have a spare part for everything now. I used to go to each event with nothing, just tires and wheels and fuel. Now I go with, you can't show up without anything. You can't show up empty-handed.
So has your car broken at Formula D, and what did it break? What has knocked you out of comp, let's say? Like,
No, the car has not let me down during competition. I had to call one 5-minute timeout this season, and it was at St. Louis, and it was a O-ring on my injector blew out. Mm-hmm. Don't know how. I guess maybe the bolts on the fuel rail maybe backed out a little bit. But
and it was just squirting fuel out kind of thing?
Yeah, it was bad.
Didn't catch on fire?
Thank God, didn't catch on. I didn't even know it was happening. I thought a cool pack or something came out because it was like idling real weird, because I guess it wasn't getting no fuel to that cylinder. So I thought a spark plug or something burned out. But I pulled back in. It was just dumping fuel everywhere. They're like, shut it off, shut it off, shut it off. So we had to call her 5 minutes. But other than that, the car has been an absolute animal this season. It is.
That's awesome.
It's the best it's ever been. The complete best it's ever been.
Well, let's go back to the original thing again about how we learned. So I see that you've got a huge fancy trailer. You've redone the car significantly and probably added, did you add power?
No.
No? Okay, well, you just cleaned it up and stuff, and it looks quite different. You've added a lot of suspension pieces.
Yes.
You have a media guy that was following you around. You have a pit crew. What was the most useful stuff that you did for this season, and what was the least useful stuff? Like, you obviously have a budget. You've been spending that budget. What was the best money you've spent, and where could you have pulled back? That makes sense for the question?
Yeah. That's the best money spent, I would say, so far has been the crew. I used to do it all by myself, and that's a mental and physical, like, it's draining whenever you hop out after comp, change your tires, hop back in, watch the run or whatever. Now I can just like pull up, they change my wheels and tires for me, I'd watch the run, see what I did wrong, see what I did right, what I can keep on doing, yada yada yada, move on from there. Used to, it's like, it's a huge stress reliever. The crew, having a crew with me to handle my dirty work is the best money spent. What we could have cut back on, I don't know. I mean, I guess this trailer is kind of a little out there, but at the same time, I would have had to spend a lot on hotels each venue, because I have got a pretty decent sized crew. So
Does the whole crew sleep in here?
yeah, there's AC in the back as well. So I've got air mattresses that we put in the back, and Harrison sleeps here, I sleep there, another guy sleeps here on an air mattress. We got it lined up to where we're good, but like,
cool.
Save money with this by doing.
Is there a
that.
bathroom in here?
Yep, full bathroom, shower.
Oh, wow.
It's got 200-gallon freshwater tank that I just busted on the way here, so yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's got everything: stove, microwave. It's literally everything. You can. It's a rolling house. So
crazy.
I guess I don't know where we could have cut back, to be honest with you, just because of it's been a very smooth season, and I haven't had any like regrets, I would say, so far. None, nothing like, oh damn, I wish I would have, I wish I wouldn't have done that type deal. But like, I mean, being cheaper at events, actually, maybe spending less on food, or maybe, preparing and getting.
That's got to be like less than 1% of the budget, so it's not a great thing to probably cut on.
No,
okay.
there's not.
So it seems like the money's been pretty well spent. And it's safe to say you're a gentleman racer where you're spending the money to go racing. There's not sponsors coming in to cover 100% of it?
No, I wish. The only thing I got free was some wheels this season, which was awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're spending the money to go racing.
Unfortunately.
At some point you might transition from that, but you are doing all that.
Rudy told me before I went into this that it was going to cost X amount of dollars, and he was correct. So I didn't.
Do you want to say what X is? You're like, no.
Everything from whenever I leave my house to head to the event, factor in everything, everybody's travel, everything. Each lap I go out at FD is about $2,000. Each lap I do is $2,000.
So you were complaining about seat time. If you could run another 20 laps in an event, you'd be like,
well, no,
ugh.
well, that's no. if then it would go down in average. Like I would think we would.
It would go down, but it would still cost you.
It still costs, yeah,
$500 a lap.
100 because of.
So you think $2,000 a lap?
Yeah, close to $2,000 a lap for fuel for the truck, fuel for the trailer, fuel for the race car, tires, food, entry fees, tickets for the family to come in, the crew's showers whenever we go. If they want to get a shower at the gas station or whatever. Everything factors in.
They get to take gas station showers.
So, at the last one, yeah, that was the first and last time because that was expensive. So that's one thing we can cut out is gas station showers.
Jesus, this is a rough team.
Yeah. It's expensive.
You're like they're down to one meal a day too.
Yeah, shit. I wish. Rudy gets hungry. He gets hungry. Hey, can we get the food, man? We get some food. Harrison, you know him too.
If you do 14 laps and it's $2,000 a lap, we're talking $28,000 an event.
I would. It's something close with everything. In fact, it's something close. It's expensive.
Yeah, and that doesn't count building the car or the cost of the truck and trailer. That's just expenses.
That's expenses.
And this trailer is a house.
This trailer is a house. Yes,
She's on a 30-year mortgage.
She's probably more than a house in some areas.
Oh man.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not cheap.
I don't want to drag everybody into it. It's just the people. Like once you've done it, if you could tell everyone else, that's a lot of information that you can share.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. And I think most people that do real racing understand that.
Oh, 100%.
It's a lot.
If you want to become a millionaire in racing, you start off as a billionaire. Just how it is.
Yeah, that's funny because it used to be a millionaire, and you'd say start off with 10 million. Billionaires used to not exist 20 years ago.
Well, now billionaires turn to millionaires.
Are real things.
They turn to millionaires in the racing industry.
Okay, before we finish this, is there any other details that you could share?
Thanks for shout out to the sponsors, BC Racing and stuff, no?
Not that. I mean, like, share the, have you learned anything about doing media? Has media been something that was super useful? Is it something that you just feel like you need to do? Does that make sense?
It hasn't been like, I guess if I did more and more and more and paid attention and focused on nothing but media, yeah, it would be very rewarding, but it's kind of hard to focus on that. And I've seen a lot of growth on my social media from me actually posting more at events and keeping posts daily and whatnot. But
you haven't transitioned media post into money or something like that. So it's just you collecting social media followers, but you're not monetizing them.
No, unfortunately.
You're not Adam LZ yet.
No, it won't ever be Adam LZ.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a good.
You got the mustache.
I just need to shave, dude. I haven't shaved. I've been stressing. I need to shave. But no, I mean it's been fun. I'm just happy to be back out at grassroots stuff before FD again, just to have fun and survive.
Have you learned enough to transition into next year? Are you going to do Formula D again? Are you going to do Pro 1 next year?
No.
What's your plans?
No,
why wouldn't you transition into Pro 1?
And whenever somebody helps me out, I'll transition because it's going to cost double what I have to pay now because there's double the races.
So you would purposely stay in Pro 2 and not move to Pro 1 simply because of the budgeting? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's interesting.
To be honest with you.
Because I would kind of think that everyone in Pro 2, their goal is to get out of Pro 2 into Pro 1 as quickly as possible.
I would love to get... I'm not going to go first season out of Pro 2. I'll do 2 seasons. I'm not going to hang in there 4 or 5 seasons, but I would love to be picked up to help move to Pro 1 because it's expensive, dude. Everything's expensive. But
is there a path for that? Is someone about to pick you up? Do you have an idea, or is this just
we do have
sure would like to go?
No, we do have some monetary sponsors lined up for next season and whatnot, which is going to help out a lot. But I haven't had any teams that have been interested in me and whatnot. But that would be awesome.
Do you think about that?
Yeah.
Say. Not only that, I don't know if I gave you the speech, but when I talk to people that are getting their licenses through me, because he got his license through Lone Star Drift, I'm like, before you move on to Formula D, you really need to think 5 years in the future. Because if you're going to do Pro 2, realistically, you're going to do Pro 2 for 1 season, and you'll probably end up in Pro 2 a second season.
Yeah.
Or if you transition into Pro 1, say you move directly from Pro 2 to Pro 1, You then move, then you're still not top 16 probably your second year in Pro 1. It's probably going to take you to year 3 at least to get to Pro 1 top 16 and be consistent. And if we've thought about that, that means there's probably 3 years, unless you're a big social media influencer, where you're footing the bill completely.
Yep.
And the first 2 years of Pro 2, or, you know, as you transition up or whatever, you know, this is X amount of money, 100 grand or something. This is 200 grand or more. It only gets more and more expensive as you go. And you have to figure out, like, if you're going to make it to year 4 and 5, and these are the years where you might get paid or have enough sponsors to, you know, make it worthwhile and everything, you've got to get the first 3 years out of the way. So there's no reason to go do 1 year, like, you know, in the middle of what you are, unless you have some type of concept of where you're going to be in a few years. Otherwise, you're going to burn out because there's no way to transition unless you're thinking about it very fluidly. And I've been drifting for 20 years, and I can tell you right now, drifting from like the professional side is nothing like it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it was magazines that you'd get in, maybe G4 Tech TV for the Formula D stuff on TV. But now, you know, you have to have your own social media followers. Before, Formula D would be like, I guess, I'm not sure if it would be up which direction for the pyramid, but they had all of the views, and all you had to do is drive. And then if you were at the top of their driving, you would get all of the attention and stuff. And now it's flip-flopped, where Adam LZ and, you know, Chris Forsberg and all these people, all their followers come from outside Formula D, their own social media networks, Motor Trend TV, or, you know, whatever they're doing. And then by the time they get to Formula D, they're just doing that to legitimize themselves as professional drivers. But they have their own following, and they make their own money outside of it. So it's very flipped.
Yeah, they're just there to...
So you getting to the top of Formula D now doesn't necessarily bring anything to you. You would still have to go figure out how to monetize your own thing.
See, that's not, like I said earlier, Formula D's never been like my end game. I want to get into, like, to be honest with, like, rallycross racing. That shit is, I want to do rallycross. I came from a background of motocross.
How are you getting into Formula D if you want to be rallycross?
Well,
this makes no sense to me.
Well, that's not my end game. Like, I want to do driving instructing. I want to go do like stunt driving for stuff like that. So this off season, I'm gonna go to the stunt driving school in Atlanta and get my certification.
This makes no sense to me. You could just drive like hoopty cars on a ranch and go destroy them and learn how to stunt drive instead of doing all this. Like, why do Formula D if you just want to be this? This is
for the publicity of it, and try to get like picked up with teams and go race like in big
Rallycross?
Stuff. Rallycross would be sick, dude. I've played that a lot.
I did not think this was where the conversation would go.
Just think about it. My motocross background, I've always raced motocross. And drifting, rallycross is like the mixture of two. I don't know. I think it...
Why didn't you just continue with motocross then?
Because my dad about died, and I've got too many broken bones to...
Okay, that makes sense. Anymore. With age comes a cage.
With age comes a cage. I like that. I sit in the bucket seat with the harness now and drive. There's a lot of things that I would love to do with racing, but Formula D is not my end goal. I would love to go drive big cars and like big names in series and whatnot, and actually get paid.
Is Formula D going to be something that's going to get you there?
That's what my beginning goal and thought was, because I'm getting to drifting, and I love drifting, but I don't know. It's just like a foot in the door for my racing career.
This is so weird. It's like saying you want to be like a Michelin chef, but like instead you are a fisherman.
Well,
to get there,
racing is, in my opinion,
they both have something to do with
racing.
Fish,
is racing, but
Interesting.
Drifting isn't. I don't think drifting's big enough yet to pay anybody's bills until you get picked up by a big team like Ford or get picked up by NOS Energy or Monster Energy, to get picked up by a big company. So I would love to be able to get picked up and go do other racing as well.
So you want to be like an energy drink driver?
Yes, I would love to be an energy drink driver, if that's how we look at it. I would love to be a sponsored driver where they pay me to go, hey, come out here and drive this car. That's my end game goal. Anybody would love to do that. So that's like, I don't know. I just have fun with cars, and I think rallycross would be dope.
Okay.
not saying that that's
veered off.
That's not why I went into FD, is to go rally racing, but like, my end game goal is just to be in a car. I don't care where I'm at, but I'm not looking at FD. I didn't get into FD to be like, okay, I'm here. I want to be at the top of FD.
Why didn't you just pay to go be in a rallycross team then? Is it crazy expensive or something?
I would imagine, because paying to be in a spec Miata seat is crazy expensive too. So I figured that would be.
Drifting is pretty cheap compared to real racing.
Drifting is a very cheap professional sport to get your name out there and whatnot.
Okay, cool. How would you build your car differently for next season? Would you change it? It sounds like your car's been so good.
Honestly, I would not change it.
And yours is a supercharged LS.
Making 698 wheel. It's nothing crazy. We're on 8 pounds of boost.
That's pretty crazy.
Well, if you look at the other cars, it's not really. Like, Novak, he makes like 1,100, 1,200 horsepower.
Yeah, but he doesn't have it turned up all the time.
Doesn't. No, he doesn't. But he does.
Has he been beating you, or you been beating him?
We haven't battled each other.
Really?
We've got to practice with each other.
Is his car better than yours?
I hope he's watching this. I did gap his ass at OSW on the bank.
Is your car better, or is his car better?
I've never driven his car, so I couldn't tell you. I'm sure his car is engineered a heck of a lot better than mine, because Rick from RTS built that. It's a nasty car. If you ever looked inside that thing, my car is a 240.
I rode in it in the rain at MSR Houston, and I was like, I thought I'd be faster. It just like crab walk around.
Yeah, that's a big angle, high horsepower car. I don't like drifting the big power cars in the rain anymore. It's not. You just go slower than you would in a daggone SR car.
Oh, I do have one quick question.
Cool.
So everything is a choice, and you have a budget, and you must adhere to some type of budget. How much is Formula D and stuff like that cut into your other stuff? Because last year you went to Japan with me and you bought an R33. You bought a Corvette and you went on Drift Week with me.
I haven't been able to do any of the Drift Weeks, and I wanted to.
I was going to say, has Formula D cut into your budget for doing fun stuff? Because realistically, the Ebisu R33 is probably the best money you've ever spent.
That was the best money I've ever spent.
I sold you a car for $3,500 and it lasted weeks on track. And like you...
I didn't even do an oil change on that thing.
Oh, you need to do that.
Yeah.
Treat that baby.
Whenever I get there,
Treat it.
But I didn't do it when I was there.
Yeah. The car was fantastic.
Just drove the crap out of it, and I got all the seat time in the world.
And it was a garbage car, but like it couldn't have been better.
Because I didn't care about the car.
And then Drift Week, was that really... You did all of Drift Week for less than one round of Pro 2, right?
Yeah. And I had some sponsors that helped me out during Drift Week, which was awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you have more sponsorship during Drift Week than Pro 2?
No.
That'd be funny.
No, I had 3 sponsors.
Okay, anyways.
No, I guess not. Not in like, if you longevity-wise, no.
Okay,
I had good sponsors for Drift Week, though.
For Drift Week, you had fun at it and everything?
Oh, my God.
It was good?
I've wanted to go on Drift Week 3. I wanted to go on Drift Week 4. And I'm going to be able to do Drift Week 5, I'm sure. Just like I told you, I blew up the Corvette.
But I was going to say, for the cost and everything, though, I mean, everything's a choice. Is one round of Pro 2 better than like going to Japan?
No.
Is one round of Pro 2 better than like a Drift Week?
No.
So my point is you chose to do a bunch of Formula D Pro 2, and it is a dream and all these things, and I understand, and you're committed to it. And I'm a person that licensed Formula D drivers and stuff. Everything's a choice, so I like to talk about it.
Yeah.
Would you rather put more money into doing... One second. Here. Let me turn my radio down for a second. Everything's a choice. Oh my God. Everything's a choice. Where would you like to put your money going into 2022, 2023?
Seat time.
Seat time?
Seat time. I would love to be able to do another Drift Week before the next FD, just to get seat time. FD, your Drift Week you have that's the most seat time you'll ever get anywhere.
How many laps do you think you got on Drift Week 3?
I don't know.
No, 2. You were on 2.
2, yeah, Drift Week 2.
Tens, hundreds, 1,000?
Definitely hundreds of laps. I mean, I turned probably over 100 laps at NOLA the 2 days that we were there.
Oh, that track is so good.
The track's so sick. My car didn't overheat. I didn't have any issues with the Corvette the whole time. Literally had nothing go wrong, and I did nothing. The only time I came off track was to water down the tires or to change tires. That's it.
Yeah.
I drove non-stop. Like, my arms hurt. So
you're still going to do Formula D, though, and you're not going to find a more creative way to spend your money. You know what I mean? To do fun stuff.
Yeah.
Take this, for instance. 3 seasons of Formula D, and you could build your own track like NOLA.
Yeah.
Think about that. 3 seasons of Formula D, adding in the truck and the car, and you could absolutely spend $1 million building like a little, not a full like facility or anything, but like you could pave a track probably. So everything's a choice. You could do something like that. You could go on a dozen drift weeks or something. God, you could go on 100 drift weeks.
You go on a lot. There's
so you see my point?
No, there
because
is.
if you go to Pro 1, you then are going to have to give up everything or have to come up with more money, you know? What do you think? I'm still gonna do FD. I'm gonna figure out a way to do both because I need seat time regardless, but I'm not gonna, I feel like FD is gonna help in the long run, but I feel like me trying to skip out on and save money by not doing those events and not having the fun seat time and whatnot is going to hurt me in the long run too. Yeah.
So I feel like if I could figure out a way to balance and do them both, that's what I would love.
Did you think about and hear about like after Drift Week 3, only drivers that had done Drift Week 3 podiumed or whatever at Formula D?
Yep. Denofa
Up until the end of the season, it was like Matt and Denofa.
They literally
dominated it.
The seat time.
That was crazy, wasn't it?
That's why
it was a joke within Drift Week and stuff.
I don't think it was though, for real. Like you get that much seat time.
They get so much seat time anyways.
But
Chelsea must have been on track like 250 days this year or something compared to you guys.
Yeah.
How are you going to compete with Chelsea? This should have been the intro. How are you going to compete with Chelsea and Matt Field and these guys when they drive 150 days a year and you're budgeting, like trying to figure out how to drive 4 weekends a year?
Dude, I don't know. I have a simulator. Like, I got a really nice simulator now, so I get to do a lot
That
of
is
seat
true.
time on
The simulator stuff is
I've got like
cheating.
the one that moves and stuff now. Like,
So,
it's,
oh my God,
yeah.
that's crazy. So when, but as you did Formula D, did your seat time go down over the entire year, I guess? Because you actually, that is true. And
no, I wouldn't say it.
No, in 2019 and 2020, because of going on Drift Week and because of going to Japan with me, you had like 1,000 laps each of those years, probably.
This is true.
Combining it with Lone Star Drift.
Yeah, I lost laps.
And then 2021 is your first year without doing that stuff with me.
Yeah.
Because I literally drug you to some of those events.
Yeah,
I drug you.
You drug me to Drift Week, and
I told you you're stupid if you don't do this
you
stuff.
did. You literally word for word told me I was dumb if I don't go with you. So
But
you were right.
my point is for 2021, you had a reduction of at least 90% of your laps. Would you agree?
Yeah. I got a lot. I still go to Clutch Kickers and do that series and their fun days and stuff.
Yeah.
And I go to like local events in Georgia and stuff.
You were doing that stuff in the previous years, though.
Yeah, I guess I was.
Yeah.
I
So I was going to say,
it cut down
okay,
on a lot
at least
of
an
my,
80% reduction in the amount of laps you did. If you do the same
Yeah.
thing in 2022, you will see a further reduction of like 80% of
Yeah.
your laps,
It needs
from
to-
2020
that's why I need
and
to-
2019.
that's why I want to build a. I don't know, it's a lot easier to drive this much when you drive a lot when you have people like supplying your tires for you and your fuel.
Yeah, but it's totally different when you had like the Corvette and the R33, because the R33, you couldn't kill 100 tires with that R33. You would physically die before you could kill 100 tires.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think you could do it.
Yeah, I mean, see, that's you can't.
And that's in 2 weeks of driving every single day. In 2 weeks, you couldn't kill 100
No,
tires.
I sacrificed a lot to go to FD for sure. I sacrificed a lot in fun wise and life and time and seat time, you know what I mean, and money. But it's an experience. It's something I set my mind to when I started building the car, and it's something like I wanted to achieve.
Do you think about that much? Like you have to make choices, and as you allocate resources, you have this many resources, and you're like, if we're gonna do Formula D, it's that much, and you have that much left over. And like if you did, say, an Ebisu trip, it's that much, or this other thing. You're kicking out a bunch of things you could be doing.
Yeah.
Including like building a track.
Yeah. It's definitely choices.
I want to be like a consultant on people going to do things. By the way, David Mesker, I gave the same speech to. I gave the same speech. I was like, why don't you just build a track with how much money you do? And he's like, why do I want to spend my money on other people? He said something like that. He's like, why do I want to spend money so other people can have fun? And I was like, oh, that's one way to think about it.
I love Mesker.
Yeah.
Another reason I like doing FD is because I get to see Mesker out there, because he's always out there.
What's he doing out there?
He's spotting for M-Spec driver, I believe.
Oh, I didn't know that. Stookie.
Stookie, yeah. Daniel,
Oh, very cool.
I forget names sometimes.
I forget what everybody's doing because
Yeah.
I don't go to the events much.
Yeah, so
I need to go do interviews or something.
You should.
I know I need to. I've been busy.
You got a friend?
I know I've been saying it for years.
You got people there, man. I'm there.
I know. I can sleep in your trailer.
Let's see, how many drivers do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Do I have that many?
Me, Novak, Lucas got his license there. Robert got
Rudy
his license
Hansen,
there.
Chelsea got a license there.
Yeah, so it was like
We
six.
have like 6? Wow.
6 people, 6 drivers in FD.
Normally it's like 1.
Yeah.
This is a big year for all that. Okay.
All right, cool.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Get out of here.
Get
Boom.
my car ready. Oh, go have some fun.
Mike.
Ben Hobson, good job.
No, I'm good.
Slow running as you are on track.
Tastes a lot better than the cheap champagne.